My silver holdings amount to 23,000 ounces. The silver price is 30, so it's 30 bucks. That was from 2014 to 2010, all right? I bought it at 11, but that's besides the point. Please, that is not a wise transaction. You're going to question, that's a good trade or that's a terrible trade between 11 and 30. Horrible trade that lasted for over a decade. Unfortunately, I neglected the real estate. Bitcoin is the way to go, though. This would have been a better investment than, say, $800. When Bitcoin was at its peak or when gold was at its lowest. Thus, I obtained 23,000 ounces. Let's call it 700 Gs, it's worth around 6. I understand. Subtracted from 57,000. What about 10, 12, or 15 Bitcoin? Is that about right? That is, in a sense, the obvious. The silver is doing nothing. Is it possible for silver to reach $50? Completed exactly once every 1,000 years, half the price of the high spot without a doubt. It's already a high point for gold. Dude, moving it is a real pain. All of that will go into my Range Rover. We'll need half an hour for that, subsequent to which I must go by car. They must measure every single ounce for me. It will be an entire day long. After that, they'll have it tested to make sure I haven't cheated on them. Even though I can ask them to lock in a price, they are more likely to say something along the lines of, we'll let you know what the price is once we tell you it's real when dealing with a transaction of this size. So maybe in a week I can get my hands on some fiat. 20 grand is the maximum price that Bitcoin can go up. When it comes to precious metals, this is the issue. And I'll tell you something, the Saudis who have been messing with gold for generations have a long tradition of hovering around the vault. Even as infants, they would view the shiny metal. As if my children have witnessed everything. They had laid eyes on the gold, silver, and heaps of cash. Envision yourself as a Saudi royal who was accustomed to seeing a treasure trove of gold as he grew up. Bitcoin is going to be adopted by them so quickly, man. Cardone Ventures CEO Gary Cardone recently discussed his silver investment and how he now wonders if Bitcoin would have been a better investment. He bought 23,000 Oz of silver in 2014 for $1 Oz, and today it's worth about $1.30/OZ. He still thinks it's a small gain over a decade, even with this rise. In contrast, Cardone invested in Bitcoin while thinking about the possible gains. While it was worth roughly $1.80 in 2014, the current value of Bitcoin is far higher. He may get around 15 Bitcoins for his silver investment, which is now worth around $700,000. The logistical difficulties of selling silver were also brought up by Cardone. Verifying it can be a time-consuming and laborious process that can take days. Bitcoin, on the other hand, provides convenience in trading, speed in transactions, and the possibility of rapid value appreciation. Next, we will discuss Bitcoin. This is the situation, folks. Plus, I'll make a quick adjustment to this right now. Here we have a situation where one individual possesses 1,000 apartment doors and 1,000 Bitcoin. He invested $300 to $3,000 worth of Bitcoin. Okay, his performance is commendable. In his possession, he is between $330 million. If my calculations are correct. Is it roughly the same?
Yeah.
All right, so his net worth is $300 million. After 8 years, he finally got into Bitcoin. He has a miserable family. The fact that their $300 million paper value drops to $100 million makes his family very sad. It returns to 100 before going back up to 300. People tend to overlook this particular aspect, even when the family is seated here. From time to time, things might get a bit tricky inside families, including the kids, the wife, the ex-wife, and the kids. They continue to reside on an island despite having a net worth of $300 million. Air conditioning is not available to them. They've had enough of being an island community. Our net worth is $300 million. Shall we act as if our combined worth is 20? As a result, they are cash-strapped. People in your tribe start pressuring you, don't they? Listen, dude, I thought we had value, didn't we? So nothing is changing in my life. This is common, isn't it? So what exactly does this man possess? He is destitute. Bitcoin isn't making money. You may argue that he could go ahead and stake that. He has a chance of succeeding, but for the time being, I'm going to act as if Bitcoin is extremely difficult to generate a return on. Thus, Bitcoin is experiencing a 40% annual growth rate, okay? Yearly by 40%. Find out what real estate has accomplished. To be honest, I am clueless about the real estate market. There is a chart that we are familiar with, and it shows that it is 45% or more every annum. No return on Bitcoin. Fortunately, they are the advantages. All right, these are consequences. Excuse me, refund of 40%. Somewhat liquid, is that correct? As a real estate agent, this is where my passion lies. On Friday night, July 31st, there is an apartment building in Chicago that at 12 o'clock in the morning presents me with a chance thanks to this property's liquidity characteristic. A covenant breach occurs with the bank account, and if they still haven't sold the property by Friday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time, they're in serious trouble. Sam is in violation of his agreement with the bank since we have seized it from him. I need to deal with 30, 50, 100, or 1,000 Sams. By the way, I have 30,000 of these. Listen up, Sam, you could be very awesome. In contrast, I own 399 additional Sams, and the current pool is poisonous. Dude, I couldn't care less about you. In fact, you end up being the first person I go after, out of the 300 people. I've loaned money to you're the best. The money will be handed over to me by force. Additionally, you will be observing as I pay you all of my distributions. I have completed all tasks. You have no idea that 299 individuals are in possession of it. You're going to be their primary target. Put a portion of that sum back into the pool. The company's upper echelons are now actively involved in risk management. Finalize the agreements. Do you really think it's a bad idea for someone to have 1,000 Bitcoin on hand and be able to make a transaction at 11:59 p.m. exactly before the deadline? Greetings from the Truist Bank. Oh, how about I buy this for you tonight in exchange for the breach of your covenants? All it takes is 3 minutes and $130 million. Presumably, I can resolve your issue before the Monday's awakening. You can't possibly deny that there is a sale on that, man, at the weekend. You won't need to appear in bankruptcy court, man. Getting everyone out of court, collecting payments, and suing are all things you won't have to worry about. I mean, I take one look at this and think, wow, this is a unique opportunity that nobody else has. Because of the liquidity and the fact that it's there all the time. The word option keeps popping up. You know, logistics have been removed, so now you can choose to transact at midnight, 2 a.m., Dubai time in London, Singapore, or Florida. With Bitcoin, geography and time are no longer obstacles. Mr. Real Estate Guy is here, and he's the proud owner of 1,000 apartment doors. Each of these doors cost him $150,000 when he purchased them. I understand. Is that all then? $150 million. Oh, absolutely. It's an investment of $150 million. Countless properties. Then isn't that okay? 100 properties at 15. Each door would cost $150,000. Sure, by the door. Those doors were going for $45,000 each when I first started investing with Grand Arizona 15 years ago. So if you were to purchase apartment at 1 billion, which is one of 100 units, you would be required to spend 45,000 times that amount. These are likely 200,000. The price has recently skyrocketed, and they've made it clear that none of them are available for purchase. About $200,000 has been added to this. In other words, it increased fivefold in 15 to 20 years. This guy has 1,000 doors regardless. On top of that, he is likely making around 6% from this $150 million investment. So that works out to approximately $900,000 in interest each year, correct? I might easily leave out a zero because I'm not using a calculator. Based on the yield he's earning from the property, he's making $900,000 in interest payments every year. My forecast is a yield of 6%. He paid only around 20% down on this intriguing home, which he acquired for $150. Therefore, $30 million was required to purchase $150 million, all right? On the remaining $120 million, he has an interest rate of 4%, all right? Also, by selling or renting the doors on a monthly basis, he's making money, right? His rental income will cover more than the mortgage, won't it? Thus, he strikes a deal and purchases a piece of property for $150 million. The real estate agent would act in this way. Our method